Welcome back, everyone. Well, depending on where you live, spring break is just starting or it's coming to a close, which gives many of us permission to start thinking about summer. But this summer could be another bumpy one for the world's largest aerospace company. Here with me now is CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg. Good morning, Peter. Are you still in Egypt?
I'm not. I went from Egypt, believe it or not, to Rio de Janeiro and left Rio de Janeiro yesterday. I'm now on the West Coast in Sonoma, California. I guess I must be a fugitive from justice.
Wow, you must be. We'll have to talk about that later. Anyway, a trial date has been set for the criminal fraud case against Boeing over accusations it misled regulators about issues with its 737 MAX planes before those two fatal crashes that killed nearly 350 people. I know the Wall Street Journal reported this week they were trying to back out of their initial plea deal to try and get a better one, but the judge did away with all of that and just ordered this to trial. So the judge says these crashes may be the, quote, deadliest corporate crime in U.S. history. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I've covered this from day one, and I can tell you there's overwhelming evidence of that in terms of either negligence or criminal behavior on the part of some executives at Boeing. The question is, what did they know and when did they know it about the Boeing 737 MAX? You may remember there was another trial before this in which they did do a plea deal, which was not acceptable, of course, to the plaintiffs in the case, meaning the victims' families, right, of which there are many. And this went back to the judge who said, you know what, I don't approve of this deal, because he even mentioned the overwhelming evidence in the case. So it is going to a new trial.
Another subject here, a United Airlines flight from LA to China had to turn around, not because of a passenger, but because the pilot didn't have his passport. Is this a new one for you? I mean, my goodness, there were 250 people or so on board, and they had to turn around?
You know what? It's the second time this month it's happened. Not to the same pilot, thankfully, but I'm sure he's got some explaining to do. Bottom line is this doesn't happen very often. But remember, it gets down to how pilots check in for their flight. They're not asked for their ID other than their airline ID. It's presumed they're bringing all their essential travel documents with them, and they weren't checked at the gate when they boarded the plane. So they may change those procedures as a result of this.
This week you reported on port cities pushing back against cruise ships and the thousands of passengers that they drop off. Part of that reporting sent you to Gibraltar and coastal Spain, where it's usually swarming with tourists in the summer. Easy for me to say there, by the way. Is off-season travel really the best way to respect residents and also enjoy yourself, or what do you make of this pushback?
For me, well, the pushback is one thing, but the idea of going in the winter to be a contrarian traveler in the off-season is a win-win. I actually went and cruised the Mediterranean in December. Barcelona, Gibraltar, Valencia, Cartagena. Guess what? We were the only ship in the harbor. There were no lines. There were no angry locals firing water pistols at us telling us to go home. We could actually immerse ourselves in the culture and not feel that we've done something terrible. It was a win-win. A lot of cruise lines are now looking at doing those off-season tours simply because it does make better sense. We weren't there for a suntan. We were there to immerse ourselves in the culture, and that becomes the win-win.
Yeah, and maybe that will become more popular. And, you know, what a great getaway in the middle of the winter, too, just to see these other parts of the world. All right, CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg, who's also a fugitive from justice. Just kidding. Thank you. And you can see his full report on his YouTube page. Just search Peter Greenberg. It's also on his site, petergreenberg.com. Have a great day.
You got it.
Okay, see you later.